Hey there guys, it's Silver, your host, and we are back today for another simple Digivolution guide, and in today's episode I'm going to show you how to get a Whamon from a Betamon. Now, let's go over stat requirements for starters. Whamon's stat requirements are not that complex, actually. You need to have the HP stat over 1000, the brain's stat over 100, have less than 5 care mistakes, a weight of between 35 and 45. That may be the largest sticking point for some of you with this guide because weight gain in Digimon can be tricky, and also a discipline of 60 or above. Now, in order to make sure that none of the other Digivolution requirements for other Digimon are met, I would also strongly recommend you keep your defensive stat and also your MP stat below 100. Now, we're going to be right back in a moment, and I'm going to explain to you how to hit each of the essential requirements to get your Whamon. The HP stat is a pretty self-explanatory one. Train at the boulder, get it over 1000, and you can see here we're already well within the requirements HP-wise for Whamon. So that solves one of our core problems. Oh, and just as an aside, there are also no problems training your offense stat or your speed stat beyond 100 if you so wish, because there are no other Digimon in this Digivolution line that require those stats. So bringing them over 100 if you so wish will not cause any conflicts with the Digivolution system. Next up, we'll train our brains a little bit, so we get these stats up as high as we can. That is our plan of action. The main point for this one, I feel, will definitely be the weight stat. So we'll just keep our training going like so. We're getting well within the parameters that we need. Let's take our Betamon to the toilet, and we'll be good. Now, as far as care mistakes go, there are 3 core care mistakes that you need to actively avoid. Those are not feeding your Digimon when they are hungry. You have to feed them when they're hungry. You have to let them sleep when they are tired. And you are not to let them go to the toilet on the floor, because that will lock you out of getting certain Digimon. And with Whamon, if you make more than 5 care mistakes, you won't be able to get it. So, keep those in mind as we go along. And we will also talk discipline now. Do you see those 2 bars in the bottom right corner of the screen? The top one is Hapiness, and the one below it is Discipline. See how Betamon here is tired? We'll let him sleep, and I'll explain this in a bit more detail. The fact that both of those bars are in the green mean they are above 50%. So, if we need 60% discipline for our Whamon, I would strongly recommend you have the bar looking like mine, because this will have it at around 75%. So, once it's in the green, it's above 50, and once it's halfway through the green bar, it's at around 75. So get it there, and you should have the correct discipline requirements. The most difficult part of this guide is going to be weight gain, and we will discuss that very shortly, because you have 2 options for it. You will notice that our Betamon here is hungry. And you will also notice his weight requirement is far below what it needs to be to get Whamon. We have a weight of 14, whereas you need 35 to 45. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can either go to the restaurant if you are in the early mid-game. That's about the time you will be getting the restaurant. Or you have to make sure that you have Vegimon's sirloin farm in order to have sirloin, because they cause the highest amount of weight gain. You will also notice the happiness goes up there as well. Now, there is one thing you can do. You can also force feed your Digimon if you want to get them to the weight requirement. It doesn't count as a care mistake, but you will notice that it makes them need to go to the toilet more, and it brings their discipline bar down. So, you are going to have to balance out getting up your weight, very likely by force feeding in this instance. And another way to ensure that your discipline doesn't drop too low is to scold your Digimon. They don't like it, but you will notice that the happiness bar goes down and the discipline bar goes up. It's a good way to ensure that you have the discipline to spare in order to keep feeding the Digimon. Like so. It takes a lot, but you will notice that we are getting there. Repeat the process as long as necessary. It's advisable that you have a high discipline in order to do this, because you will burn through some of it by the feeding. And then once you have the weight where you need to be, if you haven't got the stats where they are required, then just get the stats up. Ensure the discipline is high. And then once you have got your 100 brains, 1000 MP, 35 weight minimum, and 60 discipline, you should get your Whamon. So, I'm going to finish topping up the stats to where they need to be, and then I will check in with you one last time before the Digivolution. One more quick thing to note before we continue with stats. If your Digimon is starting to feel tired from training, typically I would recommend after every 6 rounds of training at the gym, you bring them here to Centaurumon's clinic, or to Jijimon's house to rest on Punimon's bed. Because if you have a Digimon with stats linked to discipline, or stat requirements linked to discipline, sorry, my words are coming out in the wrong order today, then any sort of fatigue from training, represented by a sweat drop across the head region, will mean that they start losing happiness and discipline. And if you have requirements that you need to balance out, then managing those is essential. So we will take Betamon across to the restaurant now, get him fed, and then I'll be back to show you one last snapshot of where your stats need to be in order to get Whamon. Right, so always go for one of the larger things on the menu. Hot curry, for example. Offense went up by 3, brains went up by 2, happiness went up, tiredness went down. Excellent. And now, we just need to make sure that that weight is a little bit higher, and we'll be good. And we are back, and all of our key stat requirements have been met. More than 1000 HP, more than 100 brains, weight is at 40, discipline is at around, I want to say, 70%, so that should be enough. The defense stat is below 100 to avoid conflicts with Digivolution, as is the MP stat. So, provided you are looking like this and have been following the guide to the letter, then you should get your Whamon. If you get something else, then there's either been a mistake made in the process, or you had a Digimon with pre-existing stat conflicts or care mistakes, so you may have to do this from fresh with a brand new Digimon. Anyway, I'll be back for the Digivolution, and I will see you guys shortly. And here we have our Whamon, who is clipping through our character and looking like he intends to eat him. Marvellous. But yes, we have our Whamon here. Lovely little stat increase as well. Quite a nice stats increase, actually. To those of you who found this guide useful, do feel welcome to leave a like, consider subscribing, and leave a comment to let me know which Digivolution guide you want to see next. We have plenty on the channel for you to check out, and there is a full playlist there. A special thank you to our channel supporters and silver patrons over on Patreon at the time of this video. Mr. Jonathan, Reese Free, Jay, Kota Okami, Jacob the Dabbler, and Tutorials de Julio. It is very much appreciated, and to the rest of you who have stopped in, you've all been super awesome, and thank you very much for stopping in. And I will, of course, see you in the next one. So guys, I have been Silver, your host. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, and I will see you again very soon. Take care, guys.